Thank you so much for your insights, Payal. But now it's time for something very different. I'll set the scene for you. Imagine this. It is the near future. Amid an increasingly acute crisis on planet Earth, a team of technologists finalizes a daring plan to start a new chapter for humanity. Along with 1,000 specially selected people, they will travel far beyond the solar system to the planet next one. There, they will establish a permanent base, a new society, a new home for human beings. Payal Arora, thanks to your outstanding achievements, you have been chosen to be among the first 1,000 pioneers to travel to next one. But before you undertake your journey, you must answer 5 questions. Let's see. Question 1. Name one luxury physical object you want to take to your new home.
Well, since I moved to the Netherlands about 10 years ago, and guess what? I actually learned cycling here after.
I thought you'd say cheese.
No, I would take a cycle because, damn it, I learned cycling in Amsterdam. I survived cycling in Amsterdam. I'm taking that damn cycle wherever I go. It's an extension of myself, my Dutch identity. And you know what? I hope it doesn't get stolen because there's less of a likelihood, I believe, in the new community. So, yeah.
We'll get to that later. Name one exceptional person who should qualify to be among the first 1,000 pioneers.
So, my first book, I went to this a place called the Himalayas, and it was this rural area in Almora. And I met this girl. She was like 12, 13. Her name was Mohini. And she had polio. And you have to understand, this is the Himalayas. If you can't walk on a mountain and you're a woman, you are not marriageable. And she was so gutsy, so fierce, so funny. And there was a new law that was released that women can run for elections in the local village council. And she ran. She was the youngest female. And she said, screw this. I can't get married, but you know what? I'll take care of my parents. And she was 13. And, I actually I wrote an entire chapter in my first book called Mohini. And because through her experiences, I gained so much hope, resilience, and, creativity in spite of the adversity. And I think we need that kind of person in this community if we are to really succeed in a very empathetic way.
Absolutely. What's the book? Could you say the title again?
It's called .com Mantra, Social Computing in the Central Himalayas.
Cool. I'd love to read about her. Sounds very interesting. How old is she now?
So it's, she's in her 20s now, late 20s.
It'd be interesting to see where she's at now. But for the next question, create one law, except from stealing, that bans something from next one forever. Explain. So the basic stuff is dealt with already, so you don't have to worry about your bike.
Yeah, so if you're not talking about murder and the usual suspects,
Yeah.
Here's what I would suggest. I would say ban bans. And here's what I'm talking about is that, banning is an intellectual laziness because when you ban something, it's a black and white issue because you see it as you should ban, anti-privacy apps or which loses all nuance, all context. And basically what we need today is good governance. We need governance which is thoughtful, which is getting boring with the details, because there is no black and white in here. And that is, I think, banning is usually the resort of authoritarian leaders who say, I am going to ban the usage of this public space for blah, So yeah, let's ban bans now.
I'm with you. Explain one truth about human nature or one ethical principle to live by that you have learned from experience.
Well, I think this is really, a continuation of my, conversation about Rutger Bregman, is that we are not innately good or bad or And we don't need these kind of hopeful narratives of, hey, guess what, don't you worry. People are really actually really good. Don't worry about that. No, I think we are, it's a fallacy. We don't need these psychometrics. What we need is to understand that what makes us special in terms of our human nature is that we have the spectrum of possibility. We have the bandwidth to be from the most wild to the most compassionate beings. And it makes it even more interesting that human nature chooses as a peg of something which is above them. So they can aspire to be not something that they are, but something they can be. And that's the beauty of human nature, is that we understand our fragilities, we understand our limitations, but we also believe in ourselves. And that's fascinating.
Absolutely. Last week's pioneer was the designer and strategist Ben Sauer, and he wants to know from you, what are the most common false assumptions that people in the West make about technology use and culture in India and other countries?
Yeah, so, in my book, In the Next Billion Users, one of the main points that I, make across the text is that contrary to what we believe people are in very low income contexts that are so alien to our imagination, to our very own conditions, we somehow believe that they must surely be very, very different from us, right? Because they're so exotic in many ways. But actually, on the contrary, they're very much like you and I, in a sense that they are very much one of the common beliefs is that, of course, if you're a low income person with very little money, you will follow the sort of Maslow pyramid of satisfying your basic needs and only in the end self-actualization, leisure. Actually, that is the main drive that has pushed most of these young low-income people online, is they want to be entertained, they want to watch porn, they want to like romance and get a girlfriend or boyfriend just before they arrange marriage, or maybe even after. The point is just like they are very much, if the idea is that if we were in their conditions and plight, we would probably behave similarly. And that is really the glue that makes us, global citizenry.
Thank you. That was a very interesting point. The last question is a question that we ask you to ask Mark Adams, who is our next speaker next week. He's the Vice President and Head of Innovation at Vice Media.
Yeah, so Mark is doing a lot of cool stuff on innovation. And, when we think about innovation, we see it often designed and for the sort of typical default user, which often happens to be white, male, middle class in the West. And so that's pretty much neglecting majority of the world's population, right? Half the world's population, billions of them, are low income. Now with COVID, it's probably going to be below poverty line soon. So my question to him is, how do you see the future of innovation by putting the billions of these marginalized majority, the global poor, at the center? And will that change design?